Go.
Welcome back to Double Booked Podcast. I am Nicole and I'm joined by Michael Ann, my co-host. And today we have an amazing episode for you, all regarding kids sports. We can't wait to talk about all things kids sports. It's a hot topic. And we've got two special guests today. First, I'm going to introduce Miss Danielle Manship. She's a dedicated assistant principal at an elementary school, passionate about making a difference in the lives of students, families, and teachers every day. A proud wife of 17 years and a mom of 2. Danielle spends much of her time cheering on her children. One is a competitive dancer and the other is a baseball player. And in addition to her work in education, she also teaches part-time dance and helping young athletes build confidence and strength. When she's not at school or teaching dance, she loves to go to Disney World with her family. So welcome, Danielle. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Welcome. And we also have very special guest, Coach Jay Recher. He is a longtime sports journalist, media producer, content producer, and host of both the Jay Recher Podcast and the Eccles Recher Podcast. He is also a longtime baseball coach at a variety of different ages, kids that have gone on to be famous college baseball pros, etc. He's my favorite baseball coach. And when he is not producing content, hosting his own shows, doing other sports journalism, or coaching baseball, he is building a new and fantastic life with a new and fantastic girlfriend.
Oh, nice. I like that. I don't think she's going to look and watch this and she's going to go, I didn't know I got in there too. So thanks for having me. Super excited to be here with you, lovely ladies.
Yes, we're so excited. This was actually, I would say, the second most requested topic that people were asking us to talk about. Nicole, you have a daughter in competitive dance, and also you were a competitive dancer. So you kind of have a lot of history and knowledge. I pretty much did nothing as a child. I was a cheerleader, but now I have 3 kids and they're all in different competitive forms of club sports and travel sports and things like that. So it's been a huge learning curve to me. And one of the things that I kind of want to just jump right into is that idea. So let's say you have children, and I think we all kind of have that desire to sign them up for like soccer shots or, whatever, the minute that they're able to toddle across the room. But, what is the real age that you two would suggest that kids start to get more enrolled into an organized sport?
I think once they go to school. I know with both of my kids, we kind of did the soccer shots, and I knew right away my daughter was not an outdoorsy kind of girl. That's why you never see her at any baseball games. She is an indoor kind of girl. So she started at age 2 dancing, and we're now almost at 16. So, and I knew from the time she was 4 that dance was her thing. She lit up the stage. She never she used to cry in class at age 2. I used to sit in there. And, but when she got on the stage, it was like a whole different ballgame. So she was born to be on that stage, and I've tried to get her to change to cheerleading because that was my passion. But she's like, no, Mom, I'm a dancer and I will be a dancer for the rest of my life. That's what she wants to pursue as a degree. We're on the other end. My son, Owen, we did a lot of different things. He actually started out in baseball when he was about 4 or 5. But his first love was the martial arts. He's a 2nd degree black belt.
Don't mess with Owen.
Yeah. So he got that at age 11, I guess. And then once he started travel ball at 11, we couldn't do just 2 very high demand sports. So he had to pick, and he picked to pursue travel baseball instead of the martial arts. So he quit martial arts and then went the baseball route. So that's where we're at now. We're in the travel ball, realm. And, so I really think he decided that around 11 to cut one sport and just pursue the other. But until then, he was a double sport kid. He was doing martial arts on the days he wasn't practicing baseball.
Wow.
Don't you think that the kids are having to choose earlier and earlier kind of what they want to focus on? Because, you've got to, to me, my mind is blown, right? Like you have all these private lessons. You can have, in the baseball world, it's like batting and pitching and this, and dance, it's one of, the tumbling or ballet or whatever else. Like, are we putting too much pressure for them to choose so quickly, or is this the right path to kind of keep them towards this if this is what they want for their career? I know this is controversial amongst a bunch of people.
I mean, I think you have to let the kid choose. Like, I've always told my two that, like, I don't care if you don't want to dance anymore. That's fine. But you will find something else to replace dance. You're not going to sit at home on your phone every single night doing nothing. You're going to be doing something. So I let them guide me. If Owen wants to do a batting lesson one week, he does a batting lesson. If he's tired and doesn't want to, I'm not going to force him to go. I mean, more than likely he does go because he enjoys it. But, in the dance world, I see a lot of kids doing multiple privates a week and at such a young age. And it's, you're not going to make it to age 16 if we're doing 17 privates at age 5.
Right. At what point are they going to burn out? And that's what I think some parents forget when they are in the heat of it. And it's almost like keeping up with the Jones, but for private lessons.
Well, like to that end, one of the questions I had is with you two sort of being experts and seeing all scales of people, can hard work overcome a lack of natural talent?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've seen it kind of going back to what you guys were saying. Like, it is tough because I think this is the advantage of growing up, like maybe up north, like I did in New York, where baseball ended when the seasons changed, right?
Yeah.
So once the baseball fields had snow, you couldn't play baseball anymore. So that's when your glove and your bat went away, and then you played hockey, or you played basketball, or you did something else. So with living in the state of Florida, you can play baseball all year round. So and I've said this on many occasions, me being a baseball coach, if I grew up down in Florida instead of New York, I probably wouldn't have played baseball after 12 or 13 because I loved putting my glove away. I loved playing hockey. I found such a truer appreciation for all sports as I got older to be able to play different things. And I think with me as a coach, I've seen coaches that if you play other sports, they look at you different and they don't give you that opportunity. We have a kid on our team who is a basketball player, and the parents are very apprehensive to have that discussion with me at first. And I go, you got the right coach, because I want you to play different sports. I had a young man that was many years ago, played football, basketball, and baseball. And, he had to understand, okay, well, your playing time might suffer on like a Saturday for a tournament because we have to reward the kids that are here all the time. But as the tournament goes on, the best players are going to play. But I never wanted to discourage that. He played 3 sports. He got drafted. He went to North Carolina. He got drafted by the Reds. But I truly believe that if you can play more than one sport, I think you really should. You're averting the risk of burning out. You're also developing different muscle groups, which is big. These kids sustain so many arm injuries nowadays because all they do is play baseball. They're not functioning and using these other muscle groups, doing other things. Like I remember growing up and I played more basketball than anything else. I never played organized basketball, but that was the thing. We went outside and played. So it's kind of a different world, and you want to, and this is kind of the balance that I've learned. And one thing that as soon as I got into coaching, and one thing I always wanted to tell myself was, you never want to tell people how to parent their kid, especially myself, not having children of my own. School always came first. Family always came first. Baseball was always, if not secondary, tertiary, and even farther down the line. But I never wanted to discourage kids from doing other things and keeping their minds and then their eyes and their ears and their heart open to doing different things, because you never know. And Danielle said it, like, you want to give them every opportunity to succeed, right? And give them opportunity. If they want to do lessons, they don't want to do lessons. And that's kind of the balancing act with you guys as parents, right? It's like, you want your kids to realize that nothing is given to them for free and you have to work for it, but you also want to give them a better life than you had, right? So it's kind of like that balancing act where you don't want to have your kids be spoiled, but you want to make sure that they have every resource to be able to fulfill their dreams. But I think nowadays with social media and all these different things, I think some people live vicariously through their kids. They're kind of sharing those dreams when those kids are 9, 10, 11, and 12 years old, when realistically, that's not your goal. Your goal should be using these sports to help your kids get to college, to get an education, because the numbers dwindle so drastically, whether these kids are going to be a high school to college to pro ball players. So we really should be setting these kids up for success off the field, off the court, off the stage, just as much as we are doing on the court, on the field, on the stage.
Yeah, I agree. And, we, you guys all know, but the listeners don't. So my oldest is a baseball kid. He plays baseball. He loves it. He does play other sports during the school year, but it happened to be that spring is baseball season for his school. So he was playing for the school and playing for his travel team. And so he had no time to do anything else. It was all just baseball. He didn't even have time to do proper stretching, conditioning, weightlifting. It was, he was having baseball practice twice a day, or baseball practice for the school and then running to a pitching lesson or a batting lesson. And, unfortunately, he ended up with a spinal fracture because of just the constant rotation without some of that core strength. So, I mean, we're living it right now, of just not having diversified and properly maintained condition and mechanics, because you're just too much baseball, at the same time that your body's trying to grow, right? Like you're going through puberty and all that good stuff. So definitely encourage. And we're lucky that our kids' school, none of their teams cut kids. So you can try everything. If you've never, both the boys ran track this year. They're, as slow as molasses in January. But we tried it. I'm like, this can't get you worse at baseball and soccer, right? Like it can only get you better. And they tried like the discus, and I'm like, do you know how to throw a discus? They're like, I don't even know what a discus is, but they did it. They played basketball, they played soccer, they played flag football. So we're very lucky at our school that they get to dabble. But Danielle, I wanted to go back to what you're saying about your daughter. So, she loves dance at 4 years old. And, did you also know, because your daughter is like a very, very talented, going to be a professional dancer. And so did you know at 4, and if not 4, then when, that she had some magic?
Well, for my daughter, it's been a very, very long road. She was naturally always a performer, but her technique and her tricks, she was behind the 8 ball on a lot of things, because we stayed at a studio for a little bit too long. And then we transitioned to the studio that we're currently at when she was 7 years old. So she was pretty far below her peers when she got there. So she had a lot of catching up to do. And she, really, when we speak to hard work, I truly believe that I have 2 of the most hardworking children when it comes to their sports, that, like they are very passionate, both of them. You see it on their face. They know when they make mistakes. I don't have to tell them. It is, the fire is there. And she's always had that fire, just like my son has always had that fire. But it never really paid off until last year. We went many years where she didn't place, and everyone else on the team would place. She'd go to a competition, she'd do her best run, and it just wasn't good enough. And last year, when she was 14, so she was at the top of what we call the teen division, which is age 12 to 14. She placed every single place she went, as high as 2nd place. And it was because of the years of like tears and not placing and doubting herself and being in the back of group dances. It wasn't till last year that this paid off for her. And, this year she was a first-year senior, because 15 to 19 at most competitions is a senior. And she placed at every single competition this year as well. Beating 19-year-olds, beating adults, as one of the youngest in the division, because she has a summer birthday, and she's tiny. She looks like she's the age of probably 6th grade. But she goes out there and she's a performer. I mean, what she lacks in some of her maybe technique, it's because of her facial expressions, because how she sells that routine on the stage. And people that haven't known her whole life just think she's this great dancer, and that it's come so easy for her. And I tell them it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
That's super encouraging. And I will tell you, I did not know that part about it. And I equally have transitioned studios in the past year. So for those that are listening, if you're weighing on the studio, I will tell you, obviously Danielle made the right choice. We made the right choice in moving for a lot of reasons. One was technique. One was the encouragement and positive reinforcement, and it makes such a difference. But I see Danielle's daughter on stage and I'm in awe. So to hear that she wasn't placing prior to that,
not at all.
I'm shocked. And I cannot wait to tell my daughter, because she's gotten a little discouraged, but she still wants to do it because she wants to be with her friends. She has fun on the stage. She loves, like you said, she lights up the stage. She loves to be there. She feels as if she's meant to be there. And then when some of her friends get it, she doesn't intentionally mean to talk bad, but it comes off that way because of her disappointment. And so it is encouraging to hear that. But you're right, hard work.
What was that like to see, like, as a parent? What is it? Because I'm sure because I know how it feels when you see your child giving it absolutely everything they can and working their butt off and just getting their heart broken. And then conversely, what is it like for her to finally get the fulfillment of everything she's ever worked for?
It's horrible. It's the, she's devastated when she doesn't score what she wants to score. Even now at almost 16 years old, we still have tears when she doesn't place high like she thinks she's going to place. But she recovers a lot quicker than she did. It would be like, I want to quit. I can't do this. And then 5 minutes later, she'd be like, oh yeah, it's fine. It'll be okay. Next time I'll do it. It was just that utter disappointment that was it was so hard to get her out of it when she was younger. And then now she kind of gets over it much quicker. And then last year, we went to Next Star, which is a big dance competition, in March of last year. And she came off the stage very upset. She thought it was a terrible run of the solo. And she was like, I'm never placing. This was terrible. She scored the 2 highest adjudications and got second place overall. Wow. And when I tell you the tears, it went from sad tears that we always have to the happiest tears. Like, she was crying because she's never scored second place. She's never been that high, never scored. I mean, she scored almost a perfect score on her routine, on her one solo, and scored almost only like a point lower on the other solo. So like, it's so gratifying, but people only want to see the good times. In dance and baseball, there's going to be times where there's a bad play or there's a bad run of a dance. And the kids who let that bother them and bog them down, they'll never recoup. You got to have a quick mind shift. Even this weekend, my son, he made an error. First play in one of the games, made an error in the outfield. I knew he was going to be upset. I knew he made it, and it is what it is. And luckily, he's able to, he knew, he owned up to it. It was my mistake. I made the error, and then he has to go up and bat. So you gotta shake it off quick, because he had to go up and bat right after that error happened, and so it's the same kind of with dance and baseball. You gotta erase the memory very quick, because you're on again. Yeah.
Memory of a goldfish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to know, what do you guys think on the professional side, as the coach and as the teacher, what is the age that it starts to matter? Like, it starts to be important. Like, you might end up playing in high school and college, or you might go all the way, or you might become a professional dancer, or you might start to get Broadway performances. What is the age that, all right, this is now, you sort of either need to take it seriously, or you might be getting time to move on?
Yeah, I think for the kids, for baseball, on that aspect of it, it's hard. I think it varies for everybody, right? I mean, if your kid's athletic, I think you have a chance to maybe wait until you're a little bit longer. Like, baseball's such a tough game because it's such a mental game and it's played at such a slow pace. So you're kind of sitting around for 10 minutes. The ball might not be hit to you. Heck, you could be out there for 3 hours and nothing happens in the first game or the second game. And then the third game, 7 balls get hit to you in a row. Like, and you just have to be on. Like, there's no excuse for it. So it's tough, really. Baseball is not for the faint of heart. It's a game of failure. And I think mentally is kind of what you're looking for just as much as physically, because you have to be able to deal with all the trials and tribulations, because if not, it'll crush you. And it's not the same thing. If you're looking for a sport where you're going to get instant gratification and good things are going to happen to you all the time, go somewhere else, because baseball is not for you. I say that to my 13-year-old team that I have now, I wish I had them when I was younger, or when they were younger. My assistant coach now on the 13-year-old team, Danny, I had him at 7 years old. So by the time he was 9 or 10 years old, this kid was making these incredible plays. And by the time he was 12 or 13, like I could have stopped and just handed him over to somebody and he would have been ready for high school baseball. So, with my 13-year-old team that I have now, it's been a crash course of like, I got to get you guys ready for high school now. So I'm a lot harder on them, and I set the expectations really high because I don't want to just be a coach that's like, hey, you did a great job when you didn't. Because baseball, there's so many analogies to life that you can make, and you think you did a good job, but there's a results-oriented aspect of it too. So it's tough. I think right around the teenage years, you got to be in the right place. And I think, with Danielle and Nicole said about in the right environment when it comes to your dance studios, I think the same thing is with baseball. I mean, some kids are just going to have natural talent, right? And it's just, don't screw those kids up. But there's other kids, the majority of them are kind of like teetering right there at 12, 13, 14 years old. I mean, after your freshman year in high school, you really got to know if this is going to be it for you. You see guys that kind of build up to it sophomore year, boom, it hits. Some guys kind of come out of nowhere, but you got to know 12, 13, 14, your kid has to be in the right place with the right people, with the right coaching, playing in the right games. I think all that other stuff with travel, as far as like showcase tournaments, that should be for later in high school. Right now, it should be about development and getting around people that care about your son to get them ready for high school. Because once you get into high school, I'm just saying, you asked me about baseball, but softball side, yeah, of course. Softball is always easier for me. I always enjoyed working with my softball players better than the baseball players because the girls weren't there to mess around. The girls showed up early. The girls did their try. Like it was not even close. And it was just the guys would show up and they'd hum. Coach Jay, did you see this? Did you see that? The girls would show up early, get their workout in because I want to make sure that I'm spending 30 minutes hitting, not stretching. The guys would spend 7 or 8 minutes stretching around. And I love that mindset with my softball players over the years versus the baseball. So, yeah, 12, 13, 14 is when you really got to hone in what it's all about.
I think it's the same in dance.
Yeah.
I mean, we lose a lot of kids after 9th grade. I know, for example, like on Olivia's team going 4th, like there's going to be like maybe 3 seniors, maybe 3 juniors, and she's one of the juniors. A lot of them, once they make their high school team, like the dance team or cheer team, and they want to just do that, and they don't want the commitment of dance. Dance, like travel baseball, is a huge commitment. It's not just about you performing your solo, it's about you performing with a group. And if you don't come to practice, that group can't run the routine. And it's not fair to the other 20 kids in that dance if 3 of you decide, yeah, I want to take the night off. So it is a very demanding sport, especially if you're at the highest level. I mean, my daughter just completed competition. She did 10 group dances, 2 solos, and 1 duet. That's 13 dances. And so it's.
And Danielle, your GoFundMe page will be up here later.
Please.
Oh
I need
my
to go
gosh.
fund me for baseball and for dance.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Holy
So
smokes.
it is a very, it's just like, I mean, baseball too. If you don't show up, your team can't really play to the fullest potential if you're missing one person. It's a team sport. And I always say, like, if you're going to be in a team sport, you've got to be committed. Go play golf. That's not a team sport. Go play, tennis. That's,
swimming.
but if you're in a
never
dance
have your child
competition,
swim, ever.
yeah. You have to show up to competition. I mean, even if you're feeling really terrible, you better be showing up to competition because that dance has to be then reblocked the day of the competition. That means all the formations, all the lines, everything has to change. It puts so much stress on the other kids. And we see that a lot in the younger groups because those parents don't really understand what it takes to reblock a dance the morning of the competition because they forgot the costume or they had, to go to a birthday party that day. It's a huge deal when someone's missing from a dance group. And so I think, at 13 and 14 is where the kids make up their own minds. They might pursue something else or, they're just not into it anymore. And then it's time to go. Like if they're not into it, it's time to go because you're just dragging down possibly 10 other dancers or 15 other dancers. And then those dances never amount to the fullest potential that it could be.
And it's okay not to be competitive, right? There's still rec leagues out there. And I think that's what sometimes parents forget is you can be do this recreationally. You do not have to do all of these things competitively. And if your child wants to continue to try multiple things, go the rec route. It's perfect. Like we do rec tennis on our off days, and then we have competitive dance on our non-off day, in our regular schedule.
Yeah. Right. And that's the good thing about dance. You can go and take classes.
Yeah.
That's on my bucket list. I'm going to start taking dance classes. Specifically
come on down.
Hip hop. Maeve loves hip hop. We like to do hip hop routines in the garage together. So
can't wait.
Actually, funny story. We belong to a gym, and how can I say this politically correctly? Okay. When we are in Ohio, where I grew up and where we spend our summers, we belong to a gym. And this gym has like the best group fitness classes. And so to me, it's usually about timing versus the class I really want to sign up for. So there's this class that was available at this time. It was like cardio hip hop or something like that. I'm like, oh, that sounds like so much fun. So I go, and it is not people like me. Okay. It is like real dancers. It's like
serious.
When your daughters are 25 and if they're not doing it competitively or for a job, this is, something that they're going to do. Everybody there was like 25 and their cute little leotards with all this rhythm and all of this experience. And then me and two other, probably elderly, 70-year-old women that were also there. And I laughed my ass off at myself. Like I am not totally non-rhythmic, but generally one beat behind, and if you're one beat behind, it's terrible. Like you might as well be 10 beats behind and just be doing your own thing. So just one beat off. So it was the most fun thing ever. So it's on the list. I want to take hip hop.
You'll be back up there again this summer.
Absolutely.
Michael Ann and the Nanas. I like that group. Michael Ann and the Nanas.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was, for sure. Okay, so I don't think it's a coincidence that both of you are independently saying that the time that it starts to get serious matches the time you generally start to see the non-serious kids start to fall off. And it also happens to match that time that puberty really starts to take precedent. So that's hormones, your body is changing, your interests are changing, the opposite sex is coming into play, hang out with your friends starts to take much more of a priority. I think all of those things are converging at the same time. And I had friends of mine that played, college baseball or, even professional or minor league baseball that would say to me, because I don't know what I'm doing, none of this matters. Little league, nothing matters until at least 6th grade. And everybody who's a wild hitting home runs, when they're in 7U and 8U and 9U, whatever, that doesn't have anything to do with what's going to happen in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Like those kids are going to go away or they're going to be great. And it's 50-50 shot either way. And the kids that weren't so great, like my son picked up a baseball I barely could walk, 2 years old. And he has been in love with the sport ever since, but he has never been the best player. He's never been the show pony. He's never been, so when the dads are coaching and they're putting their own son and all their buddies on the team, you're worried as a parent, will it reach a point where my son really wants to keep going and can't keep up and there isn't a place for him? Will he not be able to find a team? Will his skills not match the opportunities? And luckily for us, it's really his hard work, similar to you, Danielle, has really started to pay off. And I think puberty is helping him. He's putting a lot of weight on, it's giving him strength. And he's always had this really super chill, he does internalize his mistakes. He does want to get better, but to him, every single pitch is a brand new pitch. He isn't generally carrying the weight of the last pitch or the last batter or whatever with him. So, and I think it's finally really started to pay off. But there were years where, I was terrified and trying to set him up all right, this might be your last season. This might be your last season because you just didn't know. So I just, for all those other parents out there that are having those sleepless nights or those fears or heartbreak, I'm glad to hear it, Danielle, that there's still just keep pushing, keep working hard. And, that opportunity will continue to be there. But I wanted to talk about the sort of the downside of that puberty. So once it starts to happen, I imagine this is especially, important in dance. I think you do have to at some point, and I could be wrong because I wasn't a dancer, you have to start thinking about body type, about nutrition, about muscle tone, about fitting in leotards, about the pressure that all that brings. Can you, Nicole and Danielle, can you guys talk a little bit about when these girls are already going through insecurities and body type issues, how that relates to dance?
Well, I think like the costuming is a huge issue because you do have girls that are all different sizes. My daughter is very tiny, but she's extremely muscular, like so muscular. She's very lucky. She did not get that from me, but she's ripped, arms, abs, everything. But she's not your tiny. Like she is stocky. She's she's very athletic looking. So she does not fit the role of a ballerina, and it's a shame that we have the mindset of, well, you need to be tall and lean and long legs. That has hurt her in many years past. A lot of judges would say, the legs aren't, she couldn't lift her leg higher than everyone else. And she still can't. But she can tumble. She can do amazing tricks. But she's never going to be your ballerina. And, this year she did have an experience where she was chosen for something for ballet. And then a week later, the teacher said, and this was not at the studio, but it was somewhere else, and said, you're too hard hitting for ballet, so we're not going to take you for this exam for ballet. Even though she's at the same skill level as everyone else in ballet, they said, you know what, you don't match the group that we have because everyone else is tall and long-legged. So, and you're too hard hitting. And that was devastating to her. She doesn't really like ballet. It's not her favorite thing to do. She does it because she knows it's the basis of all dance and that she has to do it. But that really, those words really hurt her. And as coaches, as teachers, as whatever, parents, they hang on to every single word people say. And she was really upset for a good 3 to 4 weeks. I had to really get her out of it and be like, you know what, who cares? You don't like ballet anyway. You don't even want to go to take this test. It's fine. Like, you're better than these two girls at a lot of other things. You get the scholarship everywhere you go because you can pick up choreography like no one else. That girl has a memory like no one else for choreography. And you're not going to be a ballerina, and that's okay. And I think that is hard because the dance world does have, your very stereotypical body types. And it's difficult when you don't fit in that body type. And she definitely does not. And so it has been a challenge, but we've gotten judges lately that are like, wow, what an athlete. And they're focusing more on that athletic part of it, which is what they should be focusing on. They are athletes. They just do different things.
Yeah. We're just starting to get into girls understanding this, and Chloe's a little bit younger than Danielle's daughter. And I think the other thing is they're trying to recognize as their body is changing what they're capable of. So Chloe's not the most flexible or doesn't have certain strengths at the moment, but I told her, I was like, everybody's bodies are going to start catching up to them. Your legs, she grew 6 inches in 6 months. Like, that's very difficult as a dancer to then understand your body and how to do certain things. So I do think that part is happening, and I'm trying to navigate through that. I will tell you, my husband absolutely hates the little outfits all the girls wear. Like, he hates even walking into the dance studio. He's like, I can't even look at this. He's like, they're just walking around in nothing.
And that's what, and it's funny because I was talking to another baseball mom at one of the baseball games, and it's funny when you have a girl, you're like, please don't hit puberty, please. It's so devastating. It's going to change your life, especially when you're a dancer. We don't want to have to deal with that at a competition, because that's a whole nother thing when you're wearing a leotard and you got that. But for boys, you're like, please, we need you to hit it now. Like,
we need
like,
lots of
come on,
puberty.
please grow.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such a different mindset when you have a girl and a boy. Like, I'm like, come on, Owen, what's going to happen? Like, come on, you got to grow a little bit. We're going to get there. Maybe one day, you know, and that's it's so funny how girls, we like, no, please don't. And they, of course, happen usually earlier. And then
Much
the
quicker.
boys were like, please. We were comparing notes, like me and the other baseball mom. She's like, I don't know, it's probably coming soon. And I'm like, yeah, not for him, you know? And so it's funny, we want to rush the boys because we want them to be stronger and bigger and all of that. But we want to keep the girls, you know, to the last minute possible.
Yeah. Well, Gray is full into puberty this year. So it's been interesting. First of all, the smells. Can we talk about his feet? I've never smelled anything like that in my life. It's like you took a bag of like kitty litter and just left it in your car for a month. It's awful. Horrible. And he showers for an hour a day. It's not like it's like this weird vinegar. It's terrible. But I mean, he's grown 5 inches in the last year. Finally, thank God. And he's put on a ton of, he outweighs me now, which is crazy.
That's
all right. So Coach Jay, let's talk about with the baseball. You know, you don't necessarily need to tell your baseball players that they need to eat more protein and lay off the Twinkies because size is really kind of a benefit. But do you ever find yourself in this coach role at this really important time in a kid's life, like having to not parent them, but mentor them about things outside of baseball, about life, about hygiene, about wearing deodorant, about put your chain in your shirt, about, hey, shave your face or be respectful of women or any of these life lessons as your role as a coach?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think if you are on a team and your son is 12, 13, and 14, and you're playing on a travel team and you're paying for a coach, if your coach does not address those type of things, I would tell you to take them somewhere else, because I feel like it's my duty to not only be a coach for these kids on the field as a baseball player, but also as a person that is, you know, they're a representation of me. So if they're rude to their parents, if they don't do well in school, I already had a discussion this year with one of my players who got in school suspension, and I set up a call with him and one of my friends who's one of the biggest educators in Washington, D.C., to sit there and have a 45-minute discussion with this young player, just so he stays on the right path. I take that. I know not everybody's like that, but I think it's so important. Like, these are such formative years for boys and girls. And you know, as you're telling the story about the dancers, you know, we put these kids in a position to succeed, right? And it's almost like these things that they do that are supposed to be hobbies, it almost becomes a job, right? And that's, it is a little terrifying as the person that's kind of in control of that entire thing. The one thing that I don't like about this whole thing, and I say this as a coach myself, is like, I try to preserve the youth and the innocence in these young players for as long as humanly possible. Because the more baseball you play, the more dance recitals you go to, like, you do get jaded, like you do get told terrible things, like things happen, and it is great. It's a great lesson lessons to learn and obstacles that you have to overcome, because that's like real life. That's adult stuff, right? Your kids aren't little anymore. And my team that I coached, I remember I told the parents in the first meeting, this is going to be very difficult. This is going to be really tough. And I don't know if the parents really understood at that time how difficult it was going to be. And it's not just because of the players and how far behind we were compared to kind of the average ball player, but it's at times you just chalk it up to they're 13 years old. Like, parents always want, you know, I know a lot of people in life, they always want to quantify things with numbers. Why does this happen? Why does it? You know, we got to remember we're all unique and individual, right? In our own way. Nobody, even twins are different, right? So we have to treat that as such. And the majority of the coaching that I do, to be completely honest with you, is really nothing to do with baseball. It's motivating. It's, you know, being a leader and just doing all these different things. I'm like, treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't do anything to anybody else you wouldn't want done to yourself. Like, a lot of the lessons that my dad was harping on me for so many years, like, that's the kind of stuff that I try to impart on the kids, because there's a really great chance that they're not going to be pro baseball players. That kid, Danny, I mentioned a while ago, our assistant coach, he was more mature than me at 9 years old. He's one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. And I am way more proud of the human being and the husband that he has become rather than the baseball player. And this is a guy that was a national championship at UT. So I take a lot more gratification on how they are as human beings rather than how they are as baseball players. And I said this, I know I just said in the group chat yesterday, one of the things I told the players this weekend was great things happen to good people. That was the last thing I said before the pitch came to this young man who has been struggling. I don't want to even say struggling. Like every ball he hit in the first 3 games was right at somebody. And everything was dead silent. And I said, great things happen to good people. Now is your time. And then not even 30 seconds later, that kid ropes a ball down the line. 2 people scored. And it was as loud as I got all weekend. And I fist pumped and I was so happy because I feel I'm a big karmic guy. You send good vibes out into the universe, good things are going to happen to you. And I think it's like that in so many different aspects in life, youth sports and beyond. So I try to engage in that with the kids, like be good teammates, be coachable, right? Those are the 2 big things. Be coachable and be good teammates. Treat people well. And those are the things that really make that success to me. It's not winning tournaments. It's not how many kids I can get to high school. It's like, are those better kids after they are coached by me? Forget about the athlete. Are they better kids? Because I think a lot of that works hand in hand. Because if they are better kids when my time with them is done, chances are they'll probably be much better on the baseball field as well.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing, but it's working because the first season, you're right, it was a learning curve, and now we win a lot of tournaments, but even the ones we don't win, we're strong competitors. So whatever it's doing is working.
Well, thank you.
Keep yelling at my kid.
That's the other thing too, is like I wanted to ask Danielle, if you guys don't mind, like I read a book years ago from Tony La Russa. He was a famous baseball manager, St. Louis Cardinals, and
we know who Tony La Russa is.
I'm telling for the watchers, the viewers on the show that may not know who Tony La Russa is, Hall of Fame baseball manager. And he said, and there's a book called 3 Nights in August, and one of the things he said is like, you really can't get on a player if they don't know that you love them, right? And the one thing that I do is I'm very hard on the kids, and I'm hard on them more of their attitudes and their focus and their energy, because those are things you can control. Physical mistakes are part of the game, but mental mistakes and a lack of effort and focus and intensity, those are things you can control. But I think every single child knows that I care about them. I'll joke about them. I'll ask about their school. I'll ask about like, what'd you do last night? What'd you have for dinner? Like when you build that type of relationship, you're able to get on them and you're able to kind of push that envelope a little bit and really, just be a little bit more vocal. But if they just think you're just somebody yelling at them all the time, I don't know if that's really going to resonate with them. And I think that's the biggest thing with our group is that we were so poor in the beginning, and we were 0-7 to start the first season. We've, won 2 tournaments. We've been in a final and another one. Like that doesn't happen in less than a calendar year, but it has, but it's because the buy-in from the parents, the buy-in from the players, and just pushing them to see, hey, you're here, but you can be here. You just got to believe, but it's not going to be easy. You see that in dance too, Danielle, where it's like the best dance teachers are the ones that like really care and do push those athletes to the peak.
For sure. I mean, I know, my daughter, so the studio owner has been the studio owner the whole time. And that is Olivia's, ride or die. Like she loves her like family. We are like family. Olivia knows that she can tell her anything. She is a good venting like Olivia will just go to a private sometimes and vent about her teammates, and she knows that she's not going to tell anyone. And we had another teacher like that, and then she left. And that was really hard for Olivia because I had built a bond with that teacher. We used to go spin together in the mornings. And Olivia was like, I'm never going to be able to find another person like that. And it takes the caring part first. It's just like in school. If the kids don't think you care, they're not going to work for you. It's plain and simple. I mean, they're not going to care. You have to build a relationship. And, even in baseball, like Owen had been on a team with the same coach since he was 8 years old, and he loved him, and he still does love him. He still goes to batting lessons with him. He still loves him, and I'm not going to lie. At the beginning, it was hard. It was a hard transition. he, you know, he was like, I don't know, you know, because he had already built that relationship. He didn't have the relationship with Jay, but now it's like a whole new Owen, like, you know, because of the relationship they've built and because of the leadership aspects that he's given Owen off the baseball field. And, you know, like those kind of things, I think coaches don't realize how much that means to a child who maybe isn't the best. Owen knows he's not the best. Owen knows he is, you know, working very hard.
Have you been in the same games with Owen that I have?
You know, but she brings up a great point. Like I've coached for many years, right? I coached for 10 years. I got into radio for 8, and then I've been back coaching in a year. I've never named the captain for my teams ever. And we've won the World Series back in 2011, and I've had a lot of different age groups. And I named Owen the captain of our team this year. You know, and it's not something that I thought of. It was just something that happened right on the spot. And it's because Owen's not the biggest guy, you know, and he's not the best player on our team, but that means absolutely nothing to me. Because
again, have you been at the same games that I've had? I mean, well, he's not going to be. He's not 6'1". Yeah, but like keeps the team rolling. He's the hardest worker.
But that's the point, though. From the outside looking in, you may not know that. But when you're in that group, you know how important he is. And Owen gets more leash than most of the guys on my team because Owen shows up to practice every time. Owen's always on time. Owen works hard. When Owen gets out, it's not just about Owen. He supports every single person on the team. And here's the thing. I came up with that out of nowhere, right? I said it. He was the captain of the team. And Anthony, who was playing with us that weekend, the biggest guy on the team, put his arm around Owen, and he was like, that was the right call. That was a good call, coach. And here's the thing. You can't tell kids something that they don't already know, like in an aspect of that within the team, right? It's easy to name the best guy on your team, the captain. But who's the heartbeat of the team? Who is the guy that is the most reliable? Who's the guy that will literally do anything for you? If I need Owen to bunt 4 times in a game, Owen will bunt 4 times in a game because that's what Coach Jay wanted. Owen pitched in the championship game yesterday, and before that, he pitched Saturday, and before that, he hadn't pitched in 6 months. But Owen did it because it's best for the team. There's nobody on our team that would say nobody's a better teammate than Owen. So nobody on our team went, why is Owen the captain? He's not the best player on the team. Everybody looked and said, yep, that was the right call. And what does that tell you? It tells you a couple of things. 1, we've got a good group of kids. 2, we've established a baseline where everybody knows what the importance is of focus and energy and effort, being coachable and being a good teammate. And 3, it just, you know that by doing, and the reason why I did something like that is Owen is a guy where he needs to be told, you can do this, you got this, because I don't need to get on Owen like I need to get on other people because it's not about effort. I just said it's about energy, effort, and focus. It's not necessarily like that with Owen and one of our other players, Jack. I told them right from the jump, it's going to be a little bit more execution based. You guys are going to be coached a little bit different because I don't have to challenge your effort. You're going to give me everything you got. And when you have somebody like that, it's almost like an extension of a coaching staff on the team. And when I name Owen a captain, it's more than just baseball because I know by calling him a captain, he's going to go to his car and he's going to smile and he's going to know that he belongs here. When I was like Owen, I wasn't the biggest guy on the team. I wondered sometimes, like, I feel like I'm a leader, but I don't think anybody recognizes it. In 11th grade, Coach Pyle said, you may not be the best player on the team, but you're the leader of this team. It changed my entire life. Coach Pyle, to this day, him saying that, I was like, bro, my opinion does matter. I thought I was just somebody that kind of slipped under the radar. I was a good player. I was an all-star, but I wasn't that. But somebody believed in me. And from then on, at 16, 25 years later, I still live my life the way Coach Powell saw me through his eyes. And if I could do that to somebody like Owen, where in 20 years, he's going to look back and say, Coach Jay believed in me, like that is worth more than anything when it comes to baseball. No doubt about it.
Well, we're almost out of time. I want to spend the last couple minutes just talking about the fun side, telling some funny stories. Nicole, I wanted to ask you, because I literally don't know this. At any point in dance, or Danielle too, are the moms also the teachers?
That's a good question. I want to know that one.
Because we have daddy ball. Is that a thing in dance too? Where like your daughter's on the team and you're putting her on the competition team and she's getting the solos?
There are moms that think they're teachers.
Yes. Yes.
That's great.
I mean, I've coached Olivia in acro and for many years, and she's at the point where like she's not getting any more tricks. The layout step out's about, she's not going to throw full, like there's no reason to. But you know, I used to dance before I cheered, and so I'll, you know, run her solos with her, and I run other people's solos when we go to competitions. Like some of the kids are like, will you run my solo? Will you run my solo? If the main teachers aren't at a convention or a competition that we go to. But like Nicole said, we have a lot of parents who think they are teachers.
Yeah, it's so much. I know enough because I danced, right? Like I know technique, I know that. I will fly under the radar all day long, so no one knows that at all. And I will only do my daughter and like just and even just a minuscule amount with her, because I want her to still. I don't want her to look at me in that way. Like I want her to love her coaches, as all you guys are saying, and only look at me as the mom who's the cheerleader in the background. Like I don't want to be both to her.
Yeah, I finally had to say it to Grace. And look, I did not play baseball, but when I like to do a lot of research, so I learned everything I could about baseball. But I mean, I had to say to Grace probably a couple of years ago, like, I can't help you anymore because you know more than me. You are a better baseball player than I could ever dream of knowing about on the internet. Like I'm out. So I'm just here to support you. I love you. Yeah. But in baseball, there's a lot of years where it's just a dad volunteer who's the coach, and he's essentially reliving his peak years, right? Like if he peaked in high school, he is reliving that. Or if he failed, he's going to make sure his kid doesn't. And his kid's going to start, and his drinking buddy's going to be at shortstop.
We saw that about 2:30, 3 o'clock yesterday. There was a play, and the guy goes, the Rays are going to call me up for advice. And I was like, you guys are losing 9-1. What are they calling you for?
So,
okay, rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Have you ever, both of you, all of you really, have you ever either cut a kid from the team or not put them on the competition team or the performance team or not allow them to be selected because of the behavior of their parents?
Yes, 100%. I'll take a less talented kid with a better family 7 days a week and twice on Sunday.
I kind of meant it the other way, but okay, we'll go with that.
No, I think it's important. I mean, when you spend as much time as dance families and baseball families spend, like if you have somebody that's just walking around saying, well, that kid sucks and this coach, I think it's reckless, and I think it's unnecessary if you bring somebody like that into your environment, into your ecosystem. If you do that and then the team disintegrates from the inside, that's on you. And that's one of the responsibilities that you have as a head coach. Like you have to vet the people that are going to be around. You know, all the good work that you could do get unraveled by one parent, not even one set of parents, but one parent. Yeah.
I just had to sign a contract. Yeah. So we're auditioning for new studios for our move, and that we had to get on a parent meeting, and Chloe, my youngest, listened in, and they said specifically on there, like, we'll kick your kid off the team for being, a jerk, but we will equally kick your kid off the team if your parents are jerks. Yep. And she looked at me and she's like, oh, wow. I said, why are you looking at me like that? I'm the nice parent. But she's like, but so-and-so, like she started naming off people where she's like, oh, I bet they would have gotten kicked off.
Yeah, we do have one parent. We do have one parent that's a little iffy on our team. She's a little loud. She wears flower shorts and she has like pictures of shells in the background of her Zoom calls and everything. She's a little soft.
I think those are just paint splotches. But okay. I'm not the one who almost got into a fist fight a couple weeks ago, and nor am I the one that got kicked out of a game and almost kicked out of a second game.
I don't know who you're talking about. I should have got kicked out of the game yesterday instead of the
That's what I was talking about.
That was debatable.
That coach, I know him. He's meh. He's kind of a loudmouth. Not our coach, the other.
Oh, coach. Your coach is definitely a loudmouth. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't you talk about stretching and running all that stuff. I don't run my feet. I run my mouth, and I get paid handsomely to do it. I'm not.
Yeah,
but that was deserved. That was deserved yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And,
that was trash.
I mean, when Jay gets kicked out of a game, it's probably always deserved, right?
Yeah. That one was pretty.
Nicole,
That one
didn't
was
you
pretty
see
obvious.
like an almost fist fight between
Yes.
some ladies?
So
Like pulling?
recently, this was this year actually, we were at a competition and I was sitting and I could just see two ladies like barking. The music's loud, right? So you can't hear what they're saying, but you could tell by their body language that they are just going at it with each other. And one stands up and the other one kind of shrinks down a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh. We're going to be, I got my phone ready. I was like, we are going to see a real fist fight at a dance competition. I can say I have not ever seen that. Like this was the first time I've seen it get so heated, but wow, that was the next level for me.
During COVID, so back in COVID, when they started allowing you to go to dance conventions again, they would tape these squares onto the floor with tape. So you had to dance in this square. So every kid got a square. So Olivia was I guess she was still in the mini room at that time. She was in the junior room at that time, which is like 11 and 12-year-olds. No, actually she was a mini 9. So it was the 8 to 10-year-old room. Okay. So it was like a race to the square. Like who's going to get the front and center square to dance in? Parents were saving the squares for children. It was a whole thing. 2 parents got in 2 dads, not even moms, 2 dads.
Oh my God.
Got in a fist fight over a square on the ground. I mean, it was.
Oh my God.
The 2 dads that showed up that day.
If you have not danced with people from Miami, you have not met.
Oh yeah.
The extreme Miami dancing. They were from Miami. That's the mecca of dance down there, and they take it very seriously. And they were the security had to be called. All these little minis are watching it happen. All these 8 and 9-year-olds are like, oh my God, they're gonna fight.
Wow.
COVID brought out a lot of fun.
Oh, Miami
Grayson
baseball
was playing Little League, and he was like 9 or 10 So he's 9 or 10 years old, and when they were on offense, so he was just sitting in the dugout waiting, but this skirmish happened I take it back. They were in the field because the skirmish happened at third base where the kid on the other team was trying to slide in. I think they weren't even allowed to steal yet. So he was sliding into the base and he got tagged out and he got called out and he starts fighting with the ump that called him out. He's a 9 to 10-year-old little boy getting mouthy with this ump. But so then the mom comes down from the stand and tries to like step in and be like, Bobby, like, don't talk like that. You're out here. And he goes, stop being such a bitch, Mom. 10 years old. And the mom was just like, oh, don't say that. And the dad was there too. I'm telling you, my son's life would have flashed before his very eyes.
I probably would have been arrested.
What's the word you just used to start that story?
Squeamish? Squirmish?
No.
You said squirmish. I think you combined squeamish and skirmish together, and you created a new word, squirmish. And I was like, wait, I think she said. Then you said it again. I was like, I think she meant skirmish, not squeamish. You may have felt squeamish after the skirmish, but I don't know if skirmish is a word.
I'm pretty sure we all got the point of the story.
But I love it though. I like new words. I'm a big fan of that. Squirmish. Welcome to the squirmish.
All right. Well, we could probably keep going for a whole other episode. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Thank you for teaching all of our listeners about kids and sports. And we hope to see you guys back again. And if anybody, always remember to follow us on all of our social media. It is Double Booked Official Podcast. And you can listen to us wherever you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We are all over the place, bringing you all kinds of fun topics like kids sports.